So I'm going to Punggol Coast Decathlon to buy some exercise attire. So I just take the opportunity while I'm walking there to talk a bit about my upbringing, and maybe there are some lessons you can learn from it. So in the past, anyway, I'm born in 1976. So in the past, when I was growing up, I remember that things weren't the best financially. My parents were both, I think my mom she was adopted, so for her, it wasn't adopted by a very rich family, but my grandma was really very caring. I think that's someone who I didn't know for very long, but I really, until today, I still feel the love, because she passed away maybe when I was 3 or 4 years old. But someone that had a lot of love in her heart. So for my dad-wise, he had a pretty wealthy family. But what happened was that even though my dad was the eldest in the family, eldest son in the family, and inherently he also, at one stage, they were staying in this landed house in One Stone Avenue. So sometimes when I pass by, I'll recall, even though I'm not staying in a landed, but at least there was a fighting chance because he could have inherited it. But anyway, somehow or another, the house was sold, and he got no money out of it. So his other relatives got all the proceeds because they are the most loved children. But so my parents ended up in a HDB in Toa Payoh. That was the first house. I don't recall anything much about it. But essentially, we didn't have a very rich upbringing due to financially. My mom right now has dementia. So, I mean, whatever I say probably won't affect her much. My dad already in the 80s. So, don't watch social media as well. So, I can talk about them. But the key thing about why I want to share this is how poor was I? Essentially, I remember during my primary school or kindergarten. Kindergarten time, I think that time probably 10 cents is not a lot. 10 cents can only buy you sweets and other tidbits. But I do recall that my pocket money at one stage was like 10 cents. So every day I can only afford to buy sweets. But when I think more drastic was when it was primary school time. My parents are supposed to be people who did work. So my mom has a primary school education and my dad has secondary school education. But still, I still believe until today, education can only bring you so far, because at the end of the day, if you do not have that aspiration to do better in life, then no amount of education also can help you. But the shortage or lack of education is not an excuse for whether or not you don't do well in life. So for my primary school period, I remember my mom always had to borrow money, lend money from people, and essentially for simple things like school fees. And mind you, primary school fees is only, I'm not sure how much at the time, but it's very cheap, right? Like $1 or $2 or something like that. That was like 40 plus years ago. But if we really look back at my life, to the extent of how poor is, I really couldn't afford uniform. I had hand-me-down. So my elder siblings like 5 years older, but I got a lot of hand-me-downs from books or textbooks and everything. But I do remember one of the most critical things that I really didn't enjoy was the fact that my school shoes always were in a very bad condition. And how bad? That means if the sole, you remember those old type school shoes that you had very bad soles below, and once you wore it to a certain extent, wear it down already, you will start to have holes, and the holes below will reveal that there is like sponge below. And if you walk in the rain, that sponge would actually soak up the water and your socks will be wet. So I remember that every time I went to school and it was raining, that my entire socks would be wet, and that's like, wow, super painful. And my school uniform happened to be white, so that white school uniform, mine is like off-white, a bit grey because due to the age, and usually is undersized lah. And a lot of times I don't have the textbook because we just couldn't afford the textbook. Mind you, we were not low income per se. My father did earn, I think, $2,000-3,000, and plus my mom's income, not really qualified for welfare. However, if I think about it, so my mom had a habit of believing a lot in lottery, feng shui, and not really feng shui lah, but lottery and those kind of tiao tang, medium. So she will always go to mediums and then predict the future. That's kind of a bit how I was brought up, and also influenced. But she believed a lot in get rich quick. So she will buy a lot of lottery, and most of the time she would spend my dad's entire salary, almost all of it, on this lottery in the hopes that it can get us out of poverty. So she will always tell me her aspiration, like if she strike big, what she will do for us. There was once that she really struck big, so I have to admit that sometimes she have her shining moments. For example, I think in the past she struck 70,000, very old time. So she essentially bought, I think at that time, she bought, when I was growing up already, she bought my first motorbike for me, but that's about probably the only thing that she could afford if you're talking about the entire life lah. So she don't really, most of the time is losing one, right? So it's like a bit like compulsive gambler. When the compulsive gambler, what they do is they will always give you big promises of riches when they struck it big, but day to day, the amount of money they fork out was way more than what they will bring back. But when they bring back winnings that time, it's typical for compulsive gamblers to actually buy good things for the family. So I remember my bike was like $7,000. So out of 70k, she bought me a bike lah. And then when she never struck, so that success followed her for a very long time. She only remember that I ever struck 70,000 and then I can do it again. So always banking. Then typically her stack of 40 will be this thick every weekend, and I'm not sure last time got weekday or not. But essentially every weekend her stack is that thick. And it's only when I'm older that my sister start to look back at her spending, and we discover that she was spending close to a few $1,000s a month on this lottery. And that's what put my family in a financially very bad state. But when I was younger, I didn't know. I thought that we were just poor. But I didn't know that, it's not only like casino, mahjong, that kind is classified as gambling. That actually 4D, Toto, all this is also a form of gambling. Too young to know that. And it can cause problems in the family. So my dad give her everything, and then she would spend it on hope. Hope that one day she struck it big. But she never because all the things, like for example her medium and all that, will share with her that you're going to strike big this month, and then she will tan, what we call tan. How bad was it? To the extent, I know in olden times, those who are around my age, you would understand what I mean by not everybody can afford education. So I remember even my poly is use CPF. Nowadays a lot of people still use CPF for poly, have to pay back. But essentially I tried to get my degree 2 times. One time I went to apply IT. I like computers a lot. So if you see me, I'm a bit of a tech nerd. But essentially I did about 1 year of Monash, this IT degree. But if I stuck it out, then probably I would have been on a different path. I don't think I'll be in real estate. But for me, that amount of money was something that I had to borrow just to make ends meet in terms of paying the school fees. But I could only survive 1 month No, 1 year. Survived 1 year worth of school fees, and then that was it. Run out of money already, so I had to stop. Then after that, many years later, I did a uni sim. I wanted to study business, so my path was never. I did mechatronics in poly, so I hate engineering. So life lesson is this: if you don't study hard during O level, you may end up taking something or studying something that you just barely qualify to go in, and your job will be very, very unhappy. So how I ended up in the Air Force is because due to money constraints, I felt that I need to help my family, and so after poly, I signed on in the Air Force because I felt that at least my NS period, I'm not taking measly pay and I could contribute to the family. Of course, at that time, I don't know that she's the lack of money is due to gambling. Okay, my mom has that fantastic skill of hiding. So, how does it affect child when the parents cannot afford to pay for education? I would say that due to money constraints, sometimes we lose opportunity in life. Meaning, if I had the financial resources available to me to complete my studies, I likely am on a very different path. But don't know lah, maybe you say what 八字 and all that. Maybe I was meant for this exact thing to do real estate. But essentially, why I missed out on 2 degrees is because I managed to, maybe financial planning also, but that ever since you started to work, I think the fact that I have to give substantial amount, for me that was substantial, good amount to my parents. Is filial piety, yes, but it's really a burden that we Asian children have to bear. And it's like, I remember I saw one joke last night. They were saying that those Westerners, it's not really about, they gain independence at a very young age. But for us Asians, it's like, okay, as you come into age only, yes, my investment in my child has paid off, and then I can start getting allowance already. So I think that's what most Asian parents think about. But I feel that if I am financially capable, I would not want to place this stress on my kids, because this financial stress, I mean, if the money they can save is good for them, rather than use it on their own life, use it on their own expenses, and then of course you have to save up for the house, because nowadays the house are crazy prices. But essentially, when the parents don't do well, you do not have, or you can potentially miss out on many opportunities. And that's why when I talk a lot during TikTok Live and my other one-to-one with my clients, I always mention about why we have to do better. Because the key factor is this: when we as parents we are actually role models. Like now my kids are 21 and 19. It's about being a role model for them. If I am financially not very savvy, or I have nothing wrong with a simple life lah. But if I am going about my work and my life and end up I'm somebody that 很容易知足 or 知足 is one thing, but I don't have a very high aspiration, and I just, in the old school, is one job all the way. Loyalty is the key. And in my dad's case, I remember one thing, he was offered to get promoted, but he chose not to. Meaning, right, I was saying that, Daddy, how come you are like this level for 30 over years, a long service award, and why you don't get promotion one? So I think I remember him saying that I don't want to get promoted because I don't want to take the responsibility. Then I thought that, this company is so bad. I used to think that the company is so bad that my dad cannot get promoted. But it's not that my dad cannot get promoted, it's he refused to take responsibility or additional responsibility, and then he's okay with the same salary. And that's what we, only many years later then I discovered. So if I am like my dad, And my mom stopped work from a very young age to look after the kids. But honestly, we are very independent one. K1, I already go to school myself. And because they are the like simply botak one. Yeah, I love them, but they're simply botak. Then end up, I'm very independent, but my mom just felt that she don't want to work anymore. So from double income becomes single income, and not very high already, still becomes single income. But from that, and I remember a few months or years ago, my son actually mentioned, he said, "Daddy, do you know that we observe what you do and we are learning from you in terms of how you handle life, how you handle adversity, how you handle your finances, and whether you think of, being somebody ambitious or not." And somehow or another, I think my actions rub off on my kids, and they have these super high aspirations, which I encourage. But however, for me, I just tell them, basically, I minimally want you to get a degree, because I remember that diploma was a stumbling block for me for a very long time. You cannot get good paying jobs, you cannot get promotion, you're not officer level in the Air Force. And when you go out to work, you're just a diploma person. I'm not looking down on diploma because I'm one, but the opportunities are really very little. And in this current day and age, diploma is almost like nothing. Basic level. O level, you really cannot get much. Gonna rain. Don't rain. But so that's what I wanted to say. When we as parents, even though your upbringing might be poor, you can choose to do better in life, or you can choose to do nothing. But your decisions don't just affect you. Your decisions affect the next generation. The ability of you to give opportunity to your kids in terms of being able to afford education, being able to afford the, nowadays you need all the computers and all that stuff just to live in the high-tech world. And your thoughts on how to invest or how to grow your wealth through whether shares, other investing, savings, or how you take with being ambitious, your real estate, why you choose to, some just live in one HDB for the rest of their life, and nothing wrong with that, but some aim for something higher. That's why those that aim for something higher end up with their condo landed, some multiple properties. But essentially, that key attribute of wanting to push yourself to the limit and being able to show that to your next generation, that one I feel will roll over one. Hopefully it will roll over. And like I always joke, my children are getting a property education by watching my TikTok live most nights. And yeah, they can tell me, hey, this project good, that project good. Okay, that's on me. But essentially, I feel there are benefits to this way of, showing them rather than telling them. I mean, I'm not rich per se, maybe consider myself middle class, but overall, that is the thing I want to tell you. You don't need to, just because you had a bad start, if you give up, that's it. I will share with you all my failures, all my successes over as this channel grows. But that's what I'm saying, if you give up, then 没戏唱了, nothing left for you to look forward to. But as long as you push on, like the Rocky movie, if you life will always beat you down. But the difference is whether you stand up and fight again. If you choose to let life beat you down, and you just lie there and say that, okay lah, I just want a simple life, enough is enough, tired already, then that's it, call it a day. But even at 49, if I never give up, who's to say what is my end result? I think KFC founder probably started his empire at the age of 50 plus, that Colonel Sanders. So take reference from all these positive attributes of those people who have done well in life, rather than take reference from those that live simply, if that is your aspiration. Okay, if that's your aspiration. If that's not the aspiration, then fine. Okay, with that, let's end this video. Bye.